So Shenwai 900 lathe. Technical video, not for everybody. Please don't look at it unless you have an interest. It's part of the Real True Educational Not Fake News series of my Val Martin YouTube channel, and this is video number 21A, and it's called chuck removal. So now the next thing we're going to do now is see how we remove the chuck. Because if you try lots of different ways, including putting the spanner in and ringing it, it's going to come to grief, because I know that, because what happens is the chuck is screwed on. It's a screwed nose, and so it tightens. Now this is the tool I made for the 3-jaw chuck. It's simply ordinary mild steel, hot rolled, with a spud on it here, and this is cut out with an angle grinder, and there's a handle. Now, please do not use an angle grinder without adequate facial protection. You need something that covers the whole face, because the sparks will get in. You learn the hard way, and I learned the hard way. So use protection when you use that angle grinder. It's more deadly than the welder. Anyway, this is designed so that it fits in here to the 3-jaw chuck, like that. And therefore you can lean on it here, right? So there you have a good spanner to undo the 3-jaw chuck, and you're not pressurizing your teeth, your chuck jaws. Okay? And there's a spiral inside in that, and you'll easily damage it. So this is the proper tool. Okay? You see it there, fits in like that, fits into the hole here. That's not putting too much pressure, because that has a big hole and it's designed for that. So that's a great idea. Now for all the other equipment that you have to take off, you'll use maybe some other thing for the 4-jaw chuck. What I use is my cameraman is having a difficult job. So this is a piece of steel here. It's out of a tractor. See it there? It's out of a spreader for manure, bag manure, and that'll do for taking off the 4-jaw chuck. And same with the faceplate. So holding the chucks or the faceplate or whatever is not the problem. The problem is, how do you hold the spindle? And for that now, we'll have a look. Now the correct name, I believe, for the spindle is the mandrel. So don't start commenting that I don't know what I'm talking about. This is the mandrel. This has an excellent mandrel. It has an inch and nearly an inch and a quarter center hole in it. That means you can put big material in there and turn it, which you can't do. It takes lathes a lot more expensive, won't actually do that. So the first piece of material, folks, you need is a piece of hot rolled hollow steel that you can buy at any steel suppliers or order it. Now we'll give you the dimensions of this, and put on my glasses here. This is 3 inches in diameter. See? 3 inches in diameter. Now it doesn't have to be exactly 3, it can be a little more or less, it might be a metric equivalent, but that has to be it. Now you'll get it completely round. There'll be none of this, you'll just have this piece here. So the first thing you do then is you put this into the 3-jaw chuck, and you bore it out, and you bore it so that it's a tight fit for the nose of the mandrel here, of the spindle. A tight fit, and it has to be a tight fit. The way I would do that if I were you is take a little bit off it, have it a bit longer, make it a ½ inch longer, and if it's a bit too loose you can always reduce your inside diameter a bit more. But that needs to be a tight fit, that it needs to be pushed up. Okay, if it's a loose fit, you're in trouble, it won't work. Okay, so when you get that turned, and you might be better go and order 2 pieces, when you get that turned right, that it's a tight fit, you'll notice that if you have something like an old gear wheel here, it'll drive up on it. You'll see that. It'll drive. That's the ideal, an interference fit. So when you have that done, you come along then, and you have the first stage. You then counter bore it in here. Take a little bit of a rebate in there that'll go over these nuts. And also cut a piece out here that will go over the threads. So do not try to force it up on the threads. You only need enough material to go to there. When you get to there, you need a rebate here that will go in. You see it here. It will go in on the threads, and this here goes over that. So that goes right up on it. Now we'll be doing that in a minute. But before I do, you then have to have 2 pieces of steel like this here that will come out, and these come out ½ inch or 10 mil, a little over 10 mil. Bring them out enough anyway, maybe even 11 or 12 mil, that they're coming out that way. Now look carefully at that. See the way it's made? that piece, that has to be there. I'll not try to pick a name for it, doesn't matter. That has to be there. And one of these is normally welded at a radius. Accuracy is not important, and one of them is out like that a little bit. So you see now, this is the collar that goes over the mandrel nose, and I think we're safe enough in putting it on now. And I'm going to push it in. I can push it in by hand, push it in with any material. Sorry, now just if you could pause there, cameraman, for a second. Pause there to get a hammer, right? So just drive it in. Nicely up. No need for excessive force. Try to avoid putting oil on the end of the mandrel nose. So now we see that now. That now is to hold this going round. Now, the first problem you're going to have, I'll just come across. The cameraman here is very patient. Just keep it back. Yeah. So the first problem is, you might say that'll slip and all that. Don't worry about that for the moment. Now, the next thing you need is that when you tighten this up, you're going to have, it could compress the end of the mandrel, and that is a no-no, because it'll choke or swage the end of the mandrel. You need something in there. So the first thing then is this design, and this goes inside, and you have a screw handle. Again, exact dimensions aren't necessary. Now I'll just show you how this works. This is the only bit of hardened material. This is the end of a drill bit, a Morse taper. So just see where we are there now a second and show you the idea. Here's the Morse taper. Now that's a sleeve, it doesn't matter. An old drill bit will do. And just weld the end of this to a bolt. This is I think this is a 16mm bolt here. Yeah, it's a 16, I think. Yeah, 16 bolt, and that's it. That means that when that's pulled, it tends to expand. Now, the other part then is just mild steel, and here you have this piece here, and this is 4.5 inches long. And it's designed to fit exactly into here, and it has a collar on it here like that. You see that? And that then goes into this piece, and this piece here is 12mm, half inch, or it's a half inch, and it's 6 by 3.5 piece of good cold rolled steel, and you put in the 4-jaw chuck if you can get it off, and you countersink so that this fits in, and you weld it here. And this means that there's no welding at this side. All the welding is out here where it can't do any harm. Okay, so now on that then is welded this here, and a piece like that, and this is the stay bar here, and that's just bolted to that like that. Now, to show you what happens when you put this in here, this is pulled out by this bar. So I'd say we'll have to come back for another clip, because we could run out of battery, or anything could happen, but if we do, you'll understand if it stops abruptly. So this here is made to fit inside your mandrel. Give it a wipe with a brush I already have, and a good tight fit, and if you can have it even tighter in the last little bit, that's here, so that when you tighten this down, it has something to tighten on. So you get the idea. Now, knurl the end of this. If you don't have a knurl tool, use a chisel, a cold chisel, to roughen this here. Now leave it a bit narrower here. Remove a piece here, leave it thick at the last inch and thick here, and then you have this going through. And you can see too, you also need, with the inside of this, you need to take an 11 degree. A Morse taper is roughly 11 degree, I think, it doesn't matter. But you need to take a little shim of that to make that slightly bell mounted. Okay, that fits in like that. And then you slit this with the angle grinder, and you drill 4 half-inch holes here. And that means that you have a good strong internal gripper for your holder. So now, next thing then is to put this in for you here, and we put it in here and push it up, and you see the point. This here must go in there. Watch this again. That there must go in there. See that? Okay, so we can tighten her up. Now just show you that again. See the idea? So now you have everything up well. So you have the outer collar, you have this piece here, you have this going in here, and now next thing you can do is tighten this up, and you should have it that there's very little play. But if there is play, it's important that it's the way you're going to turn it, that there's no slack. Pull it down that way. So now we can tighten this up, and when you're making the insert, this one here, as we said, is 3.5. That means it's going in here roughly around the bearing. So the bearing housing is holding it. Another way would be let it away up in here so that it can be where these wheels are. You don't want it at a place where there's nothing to support it. Now the question is, how tight should this be? And that's a big question. And I like to go just a nice tightness, about a decent hand tightness. That's enough there now for now. Right? Okay. Now, I think, how many minutes are we? I'll just look. Are we all right? Yeah, we have 11 minutes. We'll soon knock off. We'll be doing a second part of this, I think, and that's good. But it's very important for the cameraman to come around here and get this, because luckily on this lathe there are two 8mm holes, threaded and all, and they're there. And you simply make a piece like this out of that's about 10mm steel, mild steel. All mild steel, except for the little expander. So that's it. There, that gives you something. You don't need to be bolting down here, and that's a gift. And that means then that this here can go in. Just put a bolt or anything in there, and you have it bolted up against. Now, see that? So we now have it bolted up so that when this gets the pull, it can't go round. See that? We have this tightened. Okay. So now, the next thing then is, I wonder, should we adjourn and come back to the next one now? No, we'll go on. Sure, if it stops, you'll understand. We'll continue. So the next thing then is, now you have, oh yes, I failed to show you. When you're putting on that, instead of hammering it up, you can use this system. And this is the way I do it. You can put a spacer in here, like that. See that? And that spacer means that you can expand that. You can put the nut like this, and you don't have to hammer it on. I didn't put that in the video, and I'm sorry about that. But you don't have to hammer on the collar. You can get a spanner and just tighten that down like that, and that will open it out so you get it on the mandrel. Okay, and then take that out. So for now we take that out. I neglected that because it's a while since I used it, and yeah, we paused there for a moment just to get a few pieces. What man hasn't lost the hammer in his time? What man hasn't mislaid the hammer? Now, before you tighten these, and I may have tightened them already, I've loosened them a little bit. Before you tighten them, you get your spanner here and you get it so that it's just like that, where you want to be. And let it slip a little bit down. Now, it's better if you can arrange it so that there's no slipping inside of the stuff. Now, again, my 19mm spanner is missing. Now, I want to show you this piece here. This is not the same as the one I had on when it was for the expander, and we'll go back on that in a minute. This is just a simple, you know what that is. It's a 12mm bolt. In there, a bit of a spacer just to take up the space, and you're always better use a few washers or nuts, bigger nuts for spacers. So now, this is all on now. Everything's tapped home. Everything's tapped home. That's it. And the next thing is this one here. This is not tapped home. The next thing then is to tighten up this here. Tighten up our on the nose. Tighten her well like that. So that's it there. And I think that's adequate. A lighter spanner maybe is better, one you make yourself, because it means that somebody can't actually put too much pressure on. The next thing is you tighten this up now again, making sure that the slack is, when you pull this down, this will be coming down, the slack is back that way. And then you tighten this, you tighten this up like that. Not too tight, because that's tending to expand inside here. Now we're going to try it. Now, the cameraman now can come round here, please. You see, I have to wait till I get the cameraman here. I often be in better position to make these videos, but I have no cameraman. So now, We have it bolted. Everything's ready. We're going to give it a go. And don't you know Murphy's Law, if the camera will just come out slightly this one, point in that way kind of. Yeah, now can you see me? Right, or even you have to go back a little bit. We're going to give it a go, and here goes. Now this has never been loosened for a long time. So we're going now, and there's nothing bolted here. And if you're into praying, now is the time. And there you are. There it's working. Now I give you my absolute word that I have not opened that this morning. I am so confident of this system that it's just an absolute shame not to share that with the world. And just to go back over it now again, there's the tool. You'll rack that up with a 90 grinder. Just cut it out anyway at all. Once it fits in here fairly good. Don't bother getting lathes and cut. You could put a big plate on the lathe and machine it out. Just cut it. But use a big face mask, a big face mask, that those hot particles cannot get into your eyes. And you'll burn your jumper or your apron or whatever. That's that. Now we have our chuck loose. We can put it on or put it off. What's more, if we want to do any milling or anything in that lathe down along the slide from the tool post, this is also a way of holding everything solidly in place. You can bolt it up. So now we're going to take it off. Just loosen it down. And now open this. There you are. Take out the pin here. There's no need for a nut on that. Now, there is one little thing about this. And I might have to stall the camera. When you are taking out this here, if you beat it straight in, you're expanding the expander inside. Okay? You're expanding the expander. So I'll ask the camera and just pause the camera if you can. We paused there just to get some equipment. Now when you're taking out the centre part, tap it inwards. That brings the wedge out that way, and you'll usually be able to pull it out. Open this completely and remove the stud here. If you're going to hammer from that end, you must use tubular that will go over the wedge. So now out she comes. That's what I'm saying. That has to be tubular, but it'll do any if you push it in. So you can see there the way that expands there. So that's basically your equipment. That's basically your inserter. And the next thing then is we take off this, and I'm hurrying now. Oh yeah, now this is the last thing I want to show you, the expander. I wrongly told you to beat it in. That's not the right way to go. The way you want to go is you want to put this expander in there like that. Bring it on up, and then expand it out. When you twist this here, you're expanded, and that means this comes off. I'm delighted now that I got showing you that part. That means this slips in and out, and you're not wearing the mandrel. There's no wear on the mandrel nose. Now, because we're afraid the camera will click out and maybe near the end of the video time, you can just put it on me again, please. And I want to show you the mandrel, the snub, the mandrel nose, or the spindle nose. It's threaded. This is no problem for accuracy at all, but it's a complete nuisance if you're trying to get it off. And that's how you do it. There's your thread in there. That goes on there for your faceplate. So that's basically it, folks. I don't know when I make another one just to show you dimensions. But the big point about this is, this works. This has never let me down since I did it about 3 years ago. And you see how it's done. It's all cheap parts, a little bit of time, and a little more. It means that this lathe is now like any other lathe, and you can take off and off your chuck at will without breaking your parts and without anything else. So with that, if you put the camera back, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to this video, and we'll come on with another one now in a minute. So thank you very much. Okay.